Good morning, everyone. I would call the meeting of the Board of County Commissioners to order, but first I want to say welcome to your courthouse. With that being said, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance and then a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Announcements. This meeting will be recorded. The list of executive sessions since the last meeting, there have been no executive sessions. In correspondence, we have a couple correspondence. One concerning the tax increase that was passed, and the other one was correspondence concerning from Senator Hutchinson concerning purchase of land by the Pennsylvania Game Commission, and there was a letter commenting about that. At this time, I will ask for public comments. Seeing none, we'll move forward. Consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Keith Klingler, I haven't seen the agenda. Am I on the agenda later?
It would be in public comments, and this would be your time.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to speak from here?
You can just stand, identify yourself, and what township or what municipality you live in.
Keith Klingler, I have property in Warren County, but I live just across the line in Venango, and I'm a township supervisor in
Okay.
Oil Creek, Venango.
Sure.
I'm sure if you've read the letter from Senator Hutchinson, you're aware of the Game Commission land acquisition. And some of the issues that come up with this is, first of all, is there a need for more public land in Warren County, especially in that area? You have a very large game lands over in Columbus Township, another one just on the other side of that in, I think, Pittsfield. Some of that might bleed over into Spring Creek, and then another one in Spring Creek Township. So I've been working on land use issues, as Dan knows. I've known him for a long time, for 40 years. And I've just seen the erosion of private property in the northern tier, especially in northwest Pennsylvania, just accelerate. And there's so many ramifications from that. When private property is removed and moved into either nonprofit, funded by government or government, you not only lose, everybody talks about the real estate tax. That's $1.20 an acre the Game Commission pays. I think they just bumped it to $3.60, but they don't pay that addition that comes from gambling monies. So I think they're at $3.60 an acre. That's in private hands, it's $20 an acre average. That's minuscule compared to the transfer tax loss. And in this specific case, I'm just estimating that land in the $6 million range, so take 2% of that. The state gets 1%. The township and school district gets the other 1%. I think county gets a small administrative fee out of that. That's a huge loss. Typically, land turns over every 20 years, let's say, in an average. So those transfer taxes continue to roll in. Once it's in government ownership or nonprofit ownership, that ends forever. The second largest problem with this is there will be no new construction on these lands forever. So you lose the ability to build new homes, new cabins, which brings in additional revenue to the school district and the township and the county. And that offsets the need for tax increases when you have that new revenue come in. That's off the list forever once these government agencies and nonprofits buy land. So, and then an even larger loss that no one talks about is the income tax loss to the state and the federal government. Just picture the Game Commission. Let's say they took in $100 million this year from oil, gas, mineral leases, and timber sales. There's zero tax paid on that. If that was in the private sector, you'd be paying 30% of that to the state and federal government. And this happens year after year after year. I'd love to see the figure of over the last, let's say, 100 years of the Pennsylvania Game Commission and DCNR, the lands they own, all the revenue that comes in, how much of that would have been paid in income tax if that would have been private lands? I would bet that number's over $1 billion. When Marcellus hit, the revenues coming into the State and Game Commission were unbelievable. I have a letter here that Senator Hutchinson sent out in 2016, and this falls in line with this current land acquisition by the Game Commission of the Clough Farm, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with the history of that place that no one's talking about. But anyway, Senator Hutchinson sent a letter to the Game Commission and just simply asked, how much money have you lost by accepting land instead of revenue like they did here? And at the intersection of Garland, where 627 and 426 all come together, is another example of a timber company buying a timber sale from the Game Commission, and then the Game Commission saying, we don't want your money, we want that couple hundred acres you have. By the way, you can clear cut it before you sell it to us. This has been going on for 30 or 40 years, these exchanges. So right now the Game Commission is sitting on over $500 million to buy land. They would have even a lot more of that if they weren't working these type of deals. So he simply asked the question, how much money have you lost by accepting land instead of revenue when you lease your lands for coal, oil, gas, and minerals, or timber sales? They never gave him the number. They didn't want him to know the number. They sent him a 2-page letter, basically of propaganda, and never answered the question. I'd be happy to give you copies of this. So these are some of the issues that CCAP should be addressing, PSAT should be addressing, and they're not. Private property is the financial lifeblood of our municipalities and school districts, and it's being eliminated at an alarming rate. Cindy Dunn at DCNR is handing out $60 million every 6 months in grants. A third of that has been going for land acquisition to the nonprofits. So your constituents, me, I own 3,000 acres of timberland, I manage myself. There is absolutely no way any of us can compete with the Game Commission, paying no income tax, $1.20 an acre in real estate tax, and no transfer tax. And we are paying all of those taxes. They're acting like a private sector resource company with all the benefits of a government agency and being nonprofit, so to say, and paying none of these same taxes. We can't compete with that. That'd be like the Red Cross or Salvation Army getting into private sector industry and paying no taxes. No one could compete with that. We shouldn't have to compete with that. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I don't know where Warren County is. In my county, we've done a study of each township and how much government land they have in that township. And the 2 top townships were just targeted by the Foundation for Sustainable Forests, getting government grants to buy more land in those townships. And one of the most recent applications, they mentioned Warren County, they're targeting more land in Warren County. So I would hope that Warren County would do a similar type of study to see where there is government land in your county and where there isn't. But I don't think it's, there's anywhere in Warren County you probably can't drive 5 minutes in one direction beyond government land. So, and just remember the long-term and large impacts of this. They control more of the resources, which is big here, oil, gas, timber. So any questions you have, I'd be happy to answer. I've got all kinds of documents here. I have this letter from Senator Hutchinson. I have the deed that I know a couple other folks in this room have that show that they used the common level ratio, and which was 3 million and I think 3.7 million. I think this tract, it was 13 different tracts all combined into one, which is combining forest land. All you hear about today is fragmenting forests and being subdivided. No, we're combining, we're adding and creating larger blocks. I firmly believe that those 13 tracts, if they were sold in their individual boundaries, would have brought twice that much money. So I think it's very undervalued. You could be looking at $100,000 to $150,000 in transfer taxes that should have been paid in this transaction and weren't. And again, it's gone forever. That property will never be bought and sold again, never have new transfer taxes or any other kind of taxes coming in.
Was that part of the Clough Farm?
Yes, all of it. I think it was the whole Clough Farm. It looked to me like they accepted and reserved out a small area for a solar farm along 426. Okay. But I think Mike has a copy of the deed. I'm sure Mr. Schmidt does too. So you can see kind of the game they're playing.
To me, it would be interesting to know how much is owned by the government, game commission. Obviously, we have the Allegheny National Forest.
Right.
We should be able to calculate that though with the GIS system.
Yes, we could.
Yeah, I mean, our planning commission did it in a couple hours.
Yeah.
They came up with a good listing and showing everybody where everything's at. And, you know, the school district certainly can't take hits like this. Townships, there's townships in McKean, Potter, Elk, and Jefferson, 80% or more. I think one of them's close to 90% of their land is owned by government. It's over for them. They can't grow. It's over. Forest and Elk, over 50% of those two counties are owned by government. And in this same transaction, Elk lost another 3,900 acres. Thank you for your time.
Comments?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer anything. I've been working on these issues for a long time.
I mean, they're an independent body. Have you appealed to the state game commission and just ask what their strategy for
The
these?
Spring Creek Township supervisor sent them a letter and they basically said, we have nothing to talk to you about. But again, I mean, they are kind of a quasi-government agency, but they're kind of a rogue agency too. They act on their own.
Yeah.
They're really not accountable to anybody.
They are, I'm sorry. The game commission is funded by licensing. Is that correct?
Oh, I would bet that more of their money comes in from their resource sales, oil,
Okay.
gas, mineral, timber.
Yes.
The numbers are staggering that come in there. Yeah. So, and again, the private sector shouldn't have to compete against that, but they are. I firmly believe they should pay the full real estate tax that everyone else pays and a penalty for putting that land off limits forever and eliminating any chance of new revenue coming in. So, again, I just wanted to make you aware of it. No net loss of private property could be incorporated in your comprehensive plan. Dan and I talked about that. Forest County has not lost 1 acre of private property in the last 20 years because they implemented that in their comprehensive plan.
We're good. Very
Thank you.
thorough, thank you. We have the consent agenda.
Anything?
Oh, I'm sorry, does anybody else have anything for public comment? Thank you. Now, the consent agenda, do we just need a motion to pass, or do we?
We'll do the whole thing.
I'll go-
The whole thing and then ask for a
Very
motion.
good. Minutes of the December 27th, 2023 public meeting and January 2nd, 2024 reorganization meeting. Comment, discussion?
They look good to me.
I have no additions or corrections.
Finance report, Lisa?
Yesterday, our cash in the general fund was $1,152,128, and our savings account had $1,786,368. I also have sent you some samples of some better reporting that I'd like to discuss with you next week that have cash balances for all the funds, along with some better budget to actual reports, and we're working on creating some predictions and spending. Within code, there's some reports that have to code, so that's all I have. We'll continue to work on this.
Very good. HR report?
We just submit that. We just submit it to you. If you have any questions, I can answer them.
Do we have any monthly department reports?
A number of them here.
They're in your packet for review.
Okay.
For elections, public safety, tax claim,
Yes.
planning and zoning all have submitted reports for the month of December.
Proclamations. School Choice Week.
I'd be happy to speak on that. It is School Choice Week from January 21st to 27th, 2024 in Warren County, where we recognize the important role that effective education plays in preparing all students in Warren County to be successful adults. Educational variety not only helps diversify our economy, but also enhances the vibrancy of our community. Warren County has many high-quality teaching professionals in all types of school settings who are committed to educating our children. Therefore, let it be resolved, we, the Commissioners of Warren County, proclaim that week referenced earlier as School Choice Week in Warren County. And we're intending to adopt that this 10th day of January.
PA 211 recognition.
Yes, PA 211 is a federally designated number for information referral and access to non-emergency health and human services. This began in the year 2000. Warren County does participate in this particular program. It was launched here in Pennsylvania in 2006 and now serves 9 counties in northwestern Pennsylvania. As mentioned earlier, it connects people with community housing, health, and disaster services through a free 24/7 confidential phone service and a searchable online database. Warren County Commissioners recognize the United Fund for their leadership and hereby recognize and encourage the use of 211 as an easy-to-remember phone number that will connect Warren County residents to the information that's critical with health and human services availability in our community.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
A motion second, discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Unfinished business.
And we don't have
We have none listed. New business. Approved Children Youth Services to 2024 fee schedule.
We submit every year a fee schedule for the services that we provide to the community, and we need authorization for it. Our fiscal department comes up with the fees by using the caseworker's salary and then multiplying it by the amount of time that they think it would take, and then whatever services we would need. We have a subpoena fee, a home evaluation fee, supervised visitation, and then an adoption home study fee that was presented to you. So we just need your approval for the fees, and then we can post it for the community to be aware.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to accept?
I'll make the motion to accept the 2024 CYS fee schedule.
A motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Glatz. Discussion.
This is something we routinely do annually.
Annually,
Okay.
you
Yes.
have to have it done, yes.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
AFCARS.
AFCARS.
That one's yours as well.
Upgrade and maintenance agreement.
Yeah. The data company that does our data system is currently working with the state and with all of the counties. There are 67 counties that use the data system that we use. AFCARS is a report that we have to do to the state. Since 2022, we've been working on upgrading our data system to meet the federal requirements for AFCARS. The data system has asked that we enter into a new, another contract. It's an agreement. There are going to be multiple updates and requirements that need to get done throughout the year. We do this with our Child Welfare Information System, our CWIS, and you had approved that in July at one of the commissioners' meetings. This is the same type of arrangement. If we do this type of agreement, I don't have to come to you with every single upgrade that we have to do. They calculated out the total amount and then county portions. Our portion for it of the 67 counties is $2,050.02. And then that would carry us until June, and then come July 1st, I'll give you another agreement. So that's for 6 months.
So the fixed price of $220,000 that's listed in the contract.
That's the total amount for the project. The $2,000 is our portion of
Very
that.
good.
And I'm assuming that since government loves acronyms, AFCARS, probably a software program?
It's an acronym for the report for the state. It's adoption, have to remember, like it's adoption, families, children, resources. It's a whole huge, acronym. It reports the number of children we have in placement and the number of children that are receiving 4E funding and the number of children that aren't receiving 4E funding. And then any child that's receiving either an adoption subsidy or a guardianship subsidy. So it's a way for the federal government to keep track of the number of children that we have in placement and what funding streams are going for it.
Very well.
I'll make the motion that we approve the agreement.
Have a motion to approve the agreement. Have a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor, signify, or discussion, I'm sorry. We have a motion, a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. PA SAVIN Agreement for 2024.
Certification.
Certification of the county funds.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, let's back up. Certification of county funds for 2024 program year. Comments?
These monies come from the county grant fees
We have,
and easements. And
Phil
Phil
here.
gives that number to me.
Phil, is there any comments you want to make about?
So just standard, every year we do this. Just apply the numbers and just your report.
So it's $674 county match funds for 2024?
I believe that was the interest that we collected in green violations.
Okay, gotcha. Very good. I would make the motion to approve the certification of county funds for the 2024 program year.
I'll second it.
Have a motion, second, discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. PA SAVIN Agreement.
This is for 2024.
This is the notification system for victims
Yes.
that we have had. It's been an ongoing project. It's renewed each year.
That's correct.
I don't see any dollar amounts associated with it. I will make the motion to approve the PA7 agreement for calendar year 2024 through and including December 31st.
A motion, a second.
I'll second.
A motion by Commissioner Glatz. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Appointment of Michael Lyon to the Transportation Advisory Committee, and I believe
Yeah, I can
we're on that committee.
Transportation Advisory Committee is the group of individuals that work directly with PennDOT District 1's plan and program projects for the 5-county region. It includes Warren, Forest, Venango, Crawford, and Clarion counties. There are 3 seats that each county has on this advisory committee. One of the seats is always the planning director, hence Michael Lyon's placement on this committee is before you. Also, I would be serving as the county commissioner representative, moving from the planning director to the county commissioner. Wendy Hollabaugh with the Transit Authority is our 3rd member, and then Mike Holtz with the City of Warren would serve as the alternate. So this would be the official appointment of Michael Lyon as the planner for the county and moving me to the county commissioner representative. The other 2 positions remain the same. I would make the motion then to make that appointment.
Motion to the appointment of Michael Lyon to the Transportation Advisory Committee. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is Resolution 3261, postponement of tax duplicates. Does anyone want to address that?
believe this is something we do annually.
Yes, it is something that we do annually.
Yeah, and
We
it's-
do postpone it in order to save postage. And then as a result of that, we have a TAN, tax note, to be able to capture the difference between what we didn't collect until we do with the combined mailing.
And the combined mailing would be the local property taxes, the county property taxes, and school district property taxes, all in the same building.
Yep. And then we did an evaluation, I believe Pam did one just recently to determine whether or not this is still economically viable for the county. And at this time, it is. We'll see what happens with the tax implications associated with the TAN since interest rates have increased, and then may want to reevaluate it again for maybe potentially a long-term future in the event that there is some savings short of duplicate postage.
With that, I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution 3261.
Second that?
The motion is second, discussion. Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next order of business is the approval of the 2024 tax millage rate.
I will make a motion to approve the 2024 tax millage rate as outlined in your commissioner's packet.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The Avenue Agreement Amendment Number 2, and do we need a motion to table that?
Table that until the next meeting.
I'll make a motion to table the Avenue Agreement.
I'll second that.
And that'll go under unfinished business next commissioners meeting.
Okay, we'll have a motion.
Trish made the motion, I
Oh,
seconded it.
I'm sorry. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Agreement with Knox Law Firm concerning the Alwood Realty.
This is the appeal.
Yeah, this is one of the approximately 6 real estate assessment appeals taken from the Board of Assessment Appeals last fall. So Elwood Realty Acquisition Company is the title owner for both the Forge and also the office conference center next to it in Irvine.
So this is our joining with the school district in defense of that appeal.
Yeah, this is Knox Law Firm's engagement letter presented for both the school district and the county to represent them in that.
Have we not engaged this firm for other appeals?
We have.
Yes.
We have. The engagement letters have been on a case-by-case basis.
I'll move that we enter into agreement with Knox Law for this appeal.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Commissioner comments. Any of my fellow commissioners have comments?
Well, it has definitely been a learning experience for the last week. It's overwhelming, the responsibilities that the county commissioners have. I am pleased to be serving with my fellow commissioners, Ken Claycamp and Tricia Urban. I think we make a good team, and we have varied talents that all contribute to the betterment of the county as a whole. And I look forward to the next 4 years in serving with the two commissioners.
Tricia?
Just the same, happy to be reelected, happy to have both of you to work with. You know, this first week has been, I know, a learning experience for all of us, and mostly as it relates to some of the things that I've been doing, even feel new again. But I look forward to the next 4 years working with you guys and doing great things in Warren County. Thank you.
My comments, I'm happy to be here. representing the people, the citizens of Warren County. Some days I feel like my head's going to explode. I never knew we were at meetings until 7 o'clock last night. We will be on the go again tonight. But saying that, that's part of the job. That's what we signed up for. I'm happy to say that day one we sat down, or day two we sat down and had a conversation. And we are playing to our strengths. I come from a public safety background, and those are my strengths. That's what I'll be the liaison for. Dan comes from the planning and zoning background. And I can tell you, I told him when we were doing the budget hearings that I don't understand a lot of it, and I trust him to give me the information. Tricia comes from business and finance background. That will be her strong suit. So I think we've got a really good board of commissioners. We just want to do what's right for the people of Warren County. Those are my comments.
Leave the politics at the door and do what's right for the community as a whole.
People, not politics. With that being said, that is the end of our agenda. I thank you for attending. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second here.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Can you stay for a second, for a couple of minutes?